and identifying with your authentic self. And it's something that I work with a lot within myself as a conscious creator, where discerning how much information to be accumulating outside of oneself, and then our ability to detach from all of it and ultimately go within ourselves and get to know who we are truly from within ourselves. I'm finding that even as someone who is relatively unplugged, so I don't engage with any mainstream media news sources, and I share on platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And I even notice on those feeds, the beautiful thing is with alternative media, we can be a lot more choosy with what we consume. And yet still I'm finding every once in a while I'll gravitate to certain channels, or again alternative, you could say news sources, and I find myself not really feeling great, and not really, maybe to a certain point, and I guess sometimes I would say like it still triggers that illusion of separation, or the illusion of a fearful paradigm. And then at that point I'll disengage from even that. So I'll disengage from that information stream. And it's so fascinating and wonderful and interesting to really own our own creation, own our own experience as one with the creative force, so that we can literally be that choosy. No, don't align with that, yes I align with that, no, don't align with that, yes I align with that, and move in those directions. And I'll find that often, and also be really diligently working on transforming that energy of separation, because that same energy, which might create kind of a feeling of repulsion against certain media streams, is also the same energy that potentially keeps us apart or away from the abundant, wonderful, desired lifestyle that we're asking for. And so I'm really seeing that in my own energy, that part that's still attracted to certain energy streams is still the part that sort of disallows a merging or unification with a broader like-minded community. And so our ability to really be discerning with our own energy and to go within ourselves, so that we can just truly get to know oneself authentically. Not and I realize that in these kind of broadening, expansive, alternative, and like well-being communities, that there's like this new language being adopted. And I'm very aware of, even with that, just being diligent with not necessarily staying bound even to certain processes that we might collectively come up with as we shift, and as we transform and transition from one paradigm to another paradigm, that along the way we can sort of get absorbed into lots of different types of paradigms that might shift one fearful illusion to another fearful illusion. It just has a different language. And one unhealed state to another form of unhealed state. And ultimately our rising is to fully embody the authentic radiance of our true self. And that journey ultimately comes down to oneself, within oneself. So, and it's funny, right? Because from the old, or from how a lot of us were brought up, is that we know nothing. We're just these sort of blank canvases that can be pressed upon or indoctrinated to a certain way of thinking, which ultimately is sort of what happened. And so as we untrain or unlearn that indoctrination, sometimes it can be a little bit of an inner battle, that we permission ourselves not to engage in other people's thinking, not to buy into other people's way of perceiving, because we ourselves, as divine, authentic beings, have our own way of perceiving that is truthful to us as unique creators. And still, that authenticity shines out a certain frequency, a certain broadcast signal that allows other likenesses to gravitate toward that. And certainly, we're in a very intense phase right now of transformation and choice making. So our ability to make choices with regards to how we want our lives to be, how we want our lifestyles to be, is really a profound choice to be making at this time, in as far as the rest of our lives go in these bodies. And we're really opening ourselves up to be receivers now, and to be well, because we're pioneering what we feel is like this new earth, our ability to receive the higher inspirational guidance is incredibly important and kind of profound right now, so that we're not just regurgitating other information from other sources, but we're truly embodying that inner stillness and authenticity to listen and receive the guidance that will show us where we're off to next, or what we're meant to do next. And I know certainly I can feel that depth of having to listen with a great amount of integrity, and again, like refining that ability to listen and follow through, ultimately going where that guidance is ushering, and really not questioning it too much, just going with the feeling. Again, authenticity isn't something that we can buy. It's not something that we can get from reading a bunch of books or getting something outside of us. So it doesn't matter how much money we have. It doesn't really matter what kind of material possessions we own. Authenticity has everything to do with just embodying the truth of who we are, the trueness of who we are. And that's just honoring yourself. That's just like being wherever you are in any given moment. It might not always feel mega awesome, but riding out those waves and then being able to really continue to show up as who you are is usually an authentic way to be. And I'm really working with sexual energy and alchemy right now, in as far as our ability to really harness blissful, ecstatic states. And then what I recognize is through mergings, unions, and community, we can sustain those higher levels. Usually when we're new to the work, though, maintaining bliss and ecstasy is quite potent. And so it's people judge it, people put labels on it, and so certainly in my experience, it's a divine recognition after having a solid few months of like vibrating there, that at that point you do kind of merge into community. At some point, if you want to continue going or living on that level, you're going to merge with a community that helps sustain and anchor those sort of energies into the physical body, because your operating system, the vessel, the instrument that we live in these bodies, does shift quite dynamically from what we used to perceive it as to where we're headed to be what we're able to do basically in these bodies. So having a community of like minds to work with these alchemies basically is really important. So there you have it. Go within self to really get to know oneself, and then that's the process of embodying more authenticity, more truth of who you are, and ultimately a really profound sense of love for who you are. It all comes back to love. I think I'll do a share about self-love and how deeply we can go into that practice. So I love you guys loads, and I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll speak to you soon.